Oh, but I'm, oh, but if you got the love and you bide your time,
Yeah.
full of ambition,
Yeah.
we will be fine. So
Come
Ambition.
on.
Ambition.
You know, I saw her
Ambition.
there whistling in the background.
I thought I heard her as well.
I swear I heard her. She did like the ad libs. I was like, hold on, I can hear her now, but for some reason,
It's a
she
lie. It
ain't
was
there.
me. Really. It was me. I saw her enough. It was
Was it
me.
you? Was it
It
you?
was me with the beautiful vocals, as per.
That was pretty neat. That actually pretty close to Medea's actually. Sounded good. Good job, man. Good
Just
job.
got to get me into the Al Stallion studios.
Yeah.
The recording section.
Saying that
I
now, it's
want to
all nice
sing
and set up.
challenge.
It's all nice and set up now. Actually, in the studio. You know, feeling
Is it?
kind of good. Yeah. I've set it up, man. It's looking kind of nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
I'm in, man. I'm back. You know. So how's everyone doing? Welcome to Family Affair. This week, no interruptions. There's no baby crying. There's no crazy people in the house. It's just going to be a clean show. At least on my end. On my end, it's going to be a clean show. Finally, I'm back. We're back in that
Oh,
element.
look at my
Oh,
avatar
what
upside
was it?
down. For God's sake. That's how my life is at the moment.
Upside down.
Down. So I'm going to leave it like that. To all the listeners, that's how life is. You know what I mean?
Look at this avatar. Upside down.
You know
You were my love. Upside down. Okay, so let's see. Did we get anything getting in the group? I didn't see anything actually. Let me see if I can put something up. What's this? No, what is this rubbish? Wait, let me see. Let me see if I can put this up. Let's see. I'm gonna put this out. I don't know what this rubbish is, man. I don't know if you can hear it.
I'm obsessed with you in a way I can't believe.
You know, it doesn't say anything. I'm just gonna read it off. Non-black people love black men because black men will allow anyone to disrespect the black community without giving it a single. I have stories. I've heard something other stories. Like I said, you all are white men on night mode.
You know what? I'm starting to think. Is this from bitter black women?
I don't know who this is from, man.
Because you know what I mean. I don't like to say it against my own nation, but just don't. So, you know what? Each to their own. Come on now. If I am an advocate for obviously choosing your own nationality first, but if that is not always possible, you can't just think that people just do it just because. You know what I mean? It's sometimes not a life. Yeah, it's a life choice, but is it? It depends on your surroundings and how you've grown up. That influences a lot on what happens to you as an adult, really and
Yeah, I think,
truly. And at the end of the day, if you're brought up in a multicultural place, I think you're more diverse than
yeah, that's
people who
true.
will come from a certain area where they're just seeing their own. Then yeah, you can just be an advocate for black love and yeah, I support it. I love it. You know what I mean? I love to see it, but don't diss the people who just may not have the opportunity to be able to get that black love.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's all it
I think
is.
you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head
You know
when
what
you
I mean?
say. I think you hit the nail on the head when you say it could be from black people, but I don't know, man. Like I was starting to think of whole this whole racism thing as well. Man. I was starting to look at it differently because I think to myself, oh, black. Oh, is it? I don't know, man. I don't want to say something too much because obviously I support the black folks, but I also think to myself, are we going too far now, man? You know, could we? Is there a chance that we could actually be all right? And it's okay if one black guy says something against black people. Does that mean all black people are saying something against black people?
That's what I mean. No, it doesn't. That's what I mean. So we've got to really stop the narrative and just picking on a minority. Not all black men go out with white women or Asian women or whatever. You know what I mean? There's a lot of black men that do just go out with their own colour first.
Yeah, especially
What have
African guys.
what have I
Yeah,
missed?
yeah. Oh no, trouble's in the
Oh,
house.
Medea's back. Hello, Medea.
Wait, what have I missed, guys? What have I missed?
We're talking
Well,
about this. We're talking about this. Wait, I'll tell you. Non-black people love black men because black men will allow anyone to disrespect the black community without giving a single do. I have stories. I've heard something stories. Like I said, you are white men on night mode. I'm thinking to myself,
I actually agree with that to some
oh no,
extent.
see, that's all you trouble in the house, didn't I?
Yeah, I do agree with that to some degree. I do think black men particularly do allow everyone to disrespect their race because they disrespect their race themselves, and
is it
that's
a peaceful?
majority, not all, majority.
Is it a
I wouldn't
peaceful
say
thing though?
majority. I wouldn't say majority.
Yeah,
Isn't
you
it
know.
like something a peaceful thing? I think, like for example, like say if some European guys are taking a mick or making racial jokes, you know how to do. They do these all day racism, and the black guy doesn't say anything against it. Is it because he doesn't feel like it's necessary to be confrontational, or
It's
I don't
because
know?
they're just accepting of it. They accept that
No,
they are at the bottom of the barrel and anybody can say anything. I think that's how it's become, to
you
be
know what?
honest. There's
I,
only
s-
a few that will defend the race, only a few.
hmm, I think they'll all defend the race. If
Oh,
they
I don't.
feel
I don't. And
for
for
the
real, I'm
ones,
sorry, but there is a lot of people out there that are actually what they terms coconuts or bounties. So they won't defend their race because they don't think they're the colour of the race that's being disrespected. They think they're above that race. There are actually black people who are like that.
I don't think that. I don't think you could put a black person, not many black people or people of colour, in a room and people are disrespecting their colour and this and they'll sit back and think, yeah, yeah, you're right, yeah. I don't
Oh,
think that would ever
I
go
could
on.
name a few, but I won't do that because at the end of the day, it would
But but is that
it
all?
would
Is that
because
through?
I didn't say all. Remember, I didn't say all. I said
I know that.
a lot of, and they do. I mean, coming from my era particularly, I could name one person when there was problems going on the TV. This is their exact words. Oh, it's the Jamaicans. And where do you think that person come from? They came
Jamaica.
from Jamaica themselves, but they said it in an English accent. Oh,
But
it's those Jamaicans again.
but
And
you gotta,
he was from, that's just an example. I heard that a lot growing up. I'm
but
sorry. We'll have
Medea,
to agree to disagree, but
Medea,
a
no,
lot of them did.
yeah, we have to disagree to agree. But Medea, if that's something you've seen in the media's been whitewashing everything for years. You can't listen to anything they say. They could have just edited it just to say that part. So
No,
then
no, no,
it
no, no. They said it
falsifies that
in.
the
No,
Jamaicans
we
are
was in
bad.
a. We was in a. We was. It was said in front of us. It wasn't said on TV.
Oh,
This was said
oh.
in front of us. I could quote a lot of sayings that was said about their own color. You know, I've got close family members that hate of their own color because they actually don't think they are that color. I can name one sibling
Huh?
in particular who actually their words were they wish they were white. So I'm sorry,
Who
but
said that? Oh no,
I've
discussing
heard
again.
that a lot growing
Who
up,
said
and I
this?
don't think much has changed. And
I
the
hope it
Uh-huh.
fact,
wasn't me.
listen, the
It
fact
wasn't me.
that
It
no,
wasn't
it
me.
wasn't you. Don't be silly. And the fact that a lot of people now don't want to be with their own race shows me that they don't defend their race enough.
No, I think
No,
we
but
spoke
that's
about
the
this
part you
before about
missed.
race.
Yeah, you missed
Remember, you
that
only
part
take
there.
up the majority of what's around you. Like, I think that argument's a bit. That's like saying, okay, if you go to Africa, if all African guys in Africa quickly going to get white women or whatever, or change, then you could say yes, they're trying to go from their own race. But you just take up what's available around you. It's called
Yeah,
I'm
attraction
sorry,
by
I have to disagree
proximity.
with you again,
It's
yeah.
Australia,
attraction
because
by
Australia,
proximity.
my darling, I'm sorry, I have to disagree again because you've picked on a race that is the most submissive race to the other races. A hell of a lot of Africans are very, very submissive, and they do sort of idolize
No, I don't.
the other races. They do. You just don't want to acknowledge, but they do. I'm not saying that they won't stay with their own. Of course, they stay with their own, but do they defend their own? Not necessarily. I mean, they're the ones that kill their own the most. Black people kill their own the most. Think
I
about
think
what I've just
Wow.
said.
But
And
there,
that's
that's
not just media saying it.
That's
You've only
not.
got to live. You've only got to live in a vicinity with your own to see how we do not defend our race enough. We more would want to hold them back. We more put them down. You've only got to live in the same area and you see it. So how can you think that they don't? They aren't like that. Of course they're like that.
But wouldn't you think that again? That's stigmatized and institutionalized racism because you say that everybody in the one area
Not
is
everyone. I said you've only got to live in the same area to see it. Doesn't mean everybody's doing
no,
it
but
in
that's
that
just
one
because
area.
them areas just could be impoverished because they are mostly
So
urban,
why is
and
that
that's
an
again
excuse to be?
institutionalized racism because
No,
that's
but
how the
is that an
government's making it.
excuse? Because you're impoverished and you're, let's use the word, you're in a ghetto. Does that give you the right? Are you telling me that everybody in ghetto has no intelligence
No,
or
never.
no
I wouldn't
moral
say that.
fiber, no
No,
moral fiber to defend their own? You're telling me
of course they
that's
would.
an excuse for them to be the
But
way they
that's.
are?
But this is what I'm saying. If you
Mm.
come from the ghetto, why are you not defending your own? Because
You should.
that's right there. That's where you came from. That's where
Hmm.
you came from. So your roots are going to be ingrained in the ghetto. Remembering that you came from all the blacks first
Toilet.
and urban areas. So then, for you to step up and then disregard that, that's where you came from.
So she needs the toilet upstairs. Sorry, I was being distracted for a moment. Sorry, but I did hear everything you said.
Yeah. So I sort of don't think that when you come from, say, example, Handsworth, if you step outside your race, does that mean you hate?
No, I don't think that's what you mean. I don't think that's what you suddenly hate. I don't think you suddenly hate your own race. I think I don't know what it is. I think it's been embedded from a lot of people say slavery days, but it's been embedded for a very long time.
You know
And
what?
people
no,
have just, and it's a negative legacy that's carried on through the generations.
You know
And
what?
nobody can pinpoint the exact reasoning because there's a variety of reasonings why they do this, but you can't pinpoint one specific reason why they are like this. There's many. But this
actually,
is a negative legacy that's been coming down from generation to generation, and it's just got worse now to the extreme that a lot of people don't want to date their own race. And
I'm reading a
that does
book by
contribute to it. It does contribute to it.
I'm reading a book by Thomas Sowell. It's an old guy. He's a black guy. He wrote a book about where slavery originated from and before. What he's basically saying, I don't know if he's a coon. I don't know if he's a coon, to be fair, but his
Hmm.
book's interesting. What he was saying basically is slavery came across with the British underclass, and they passed on um, the way they acted into the South of America. The way they act, it was basically like a passing on a culture. So the way they used to act, they passed it on to the African people. So they thought they could, like from the South of America, they adopted their culture, and then when they left the British, the black people adopted it and continued it going on. The way they speak, the way they act, the mannerisms, everything, and even how barbaric they are and stuff.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I wouldn't be
there was black
surprised.
people. Yeah, there was black people in the north. That's why, like the black people in the north, were generally considered better. They were smarter. Obviously, they could read and everything. But the people in the south couldn't. They were quite docile and dumb and barbaric. And that's why when the slavery ended, when all these black people went up to the north, they started acting the way they learned from the British and started creating a bad name for all black people. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
before this whole mass slavery thing happened, there was actually quite a lot of it was quite fair. You know what I mean? In the world, I mean, it wasn't fair. Everyone had slaves. Everyone was slavery and all this stuff. That was
Mm.
a proper
That's
thing. But it's interesting to hear that this guy wrote about where slavery, the way black people act in America, these especially southern ones, where it came from. I thought that was interesting. The book's called Black Rednecks and White Liberals. Should listen to it. I don't know if he's a coon though. But I think it's really interesting to hear his perspective on
Hmm.
things.
mm.
Yeah, yeah. So
But
I don't think
but
they. Well, going back to it, I don't think you necessarily disrespect or don't defend your race. I think you know when and when not to speak up.
That means 99% of the time.
People
You
don't
know
want to hear
what?
problems.
To be honest, in the world we live on, you probably speak up every 2 minutes. That you'll find you'll be fighting everybody,
Yeah.
and that's what you have to sort of filter out what you're willing to speak up about and
But
what you're willing to
but this
just
is so
think to yourself,
unfair.
I
Why
don't
do
really want to
we
hear.
sorry, why do we always have to filter it out in every other race can voice how they truly feel and how they truly think? Why is it only our race that has to filter it out? Think
I,
about what I've just said. We're always having to filter it out. We always have to be careful what we say in
no,
case we offend somebody else. But
oh
it's all
well.
right for everybody else to offend us.
No, I think in this world we live in today, everybody just says what they want to say.
Hmm.
Everybody. You know what I mean?
Well,
Doesn't
maybe
matter who you
now
are.
with the yeah, they will say what they want to say, but they still
I,
don't say the enough to defend their particular race.
like, well, all right then. For instance, if somebody came to you and says, "Oh, majority of black men don't work," what would you say?
That's what I'd say.
Defend your race.
Precisely
Defend
true.
your race.
I could listen. I can't defend what I don't know.
Yeah.
Say something that I do know, and then
But
I'll
then you
defend
could
it.
be grouped into that group that you don't defend your race. You've just proved it right there. You don't defend
No,
your
no,
race.
no,
You
no,
just
no, no.
laughed.
Because I
You should have
can't.
said,
Listen,
I'll
listen,
go and
listen.
find.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
I
go do
can
some
answer it. I will
research,
answer
and
it.
then I'll come
I
back
will
to you with
answer
that
it.
answer.
I'll say the reason why it appears that the majority don't work is because a lot of them haven't been given them a chance, and that started off in the school, and then it carried on into the workplace. That's how I would defend my race. Are you happy now, love?
And you know what? The majority
Because
of
I
people
have
I
defended them. I have defended them because if they're saying that the majority aren't working, that is how I would defend them.
but
But
you
then I would say there are some people that have got the chance and have gone out in the world, but at the end of the day, it's still not the majority.
uh, uh, and
But
this is
then
what I
saying
mean.
that,
Why?
going back though, when you think about that, Caribbean people were known for being hard workers um, from day dot. So if they're not hard workers anymore, it's not because of they're no longer hard workers, it's because they've been
They've not been given
suppressed.
the chance.
Mm.
It's
Just
as
like
simple as that. They're not given the chance, or they've
like
been
like
given jobs that are just not worth taking up because they're probably getting pittance and they need a little bit more. Even though,
and
to be honest, a Caribbean person would pick up a job that's paying pittance, but they'd pick up four different jobs to make up the money they need.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Clever.
So I
also
am defending my rights. I know how to defend them.
and also the black people anyone's probably referring to is probably the black British who have, well, like I said earlier, have adopted the British way of living. Like a black British guy probably wouldn't go and put bins away, whereas an African
Because they need
would
to
come
keep,
there.
they've got street cred to
Yeah,
keep up.
yeah, an African guy or a Caribbean guy would put the bins away and work hard for his money to save it and put it, buy a house in Jamaica or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
like there's incredibly different types of black people that exist on on the planet.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
And the
So and
reason for that is because, in all honesty, it
It.
appears that England, oh yeah, I'm going to say this: the Black British have it the easiest out of all the black people in the world. The Black British do. You compare them to people, as you say, the Caribbeans and the Africans, and then compare them to the Americans who seem to be oppressed a lot more. Black British do have it quite easy, and that's why they've adopted the way because they know there's always a fallback.
I've never had
I
that
don't agree.
perspective
I
in my
don't
long
agree with
life.
that. I know. I don't agree with that.
Why
Nah, to
don't
be
you agree
fair,
with
to be
that?
fair,
In what way is a Black British oppressed like a struggling African or a struggling Caribbean or an
I would
oppressed
say,
American? In what way is
I'll
compare
tell
a
you
Black
what,
British to them?
Again,
I'll tell,
it all contributes from your surroundings. All right, then, if you're in Africa and you're struggling, more time wherever you live, everybody's struggling, and because you're all black, you're all struggling together. But
Yeah, yeah,
you have a community and a village that will help each other.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how they'll survive, and that's how they have survived. Or else everybody would have
Hmm.
dug up and come and moved out of Africa from time.
They have.
Now,
brother,
the one, yeah, 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 I don't think. I think there's oppression wherever you go. Look at what's going on in Afghanistan.
Oh, I agree
They're
with
not
you.
black,
I
but
agree with you, Travesty. I
it's
do
it's
agree
it's,
with you.
it's your
There's oppression.
black
surroundings. It's
too.
your
Yeah,
surroundings.
I agree
The
with you, but
environment.
my point is there's different degrees of oppression, isn't there? When you sit of it, you can't compare again a black British to people in Afghanistan. You can't compare the
There
two.
you go. Then
That's
British,
what I'm saying. That's why I said the
we
black
are,
British have it the easiest.
we
They
are,
do.
but
They're oppressed, but not as oppressed as
yeah,
other races.
Actually, I'll
I
top that
don't.
and say black people in Germany probably have it even easier than black people in England, because remember in England there's the stigmata that follows still from the whole slavery days. But in places like Germany, although they have the racist history, you kind of go unnoticed in Germany, so you can still kind of sneak your way into some positions which wouldn't really be allowed in a place like England, you know. So I would still say you probably have it slightly easier here if you can accept or adopt their mentality than you
I
do in
don't
England.
think
Because also the
personally.
police don't bother you here. They don't bother you as a black guy as much here. Like in England, you still have the police that will still stop and search you. That doesn't exist here. They don't do stop and search.
I don't think there's enough police on the road to do that. And I think you fall out the catchment age group now to be stopped and searched. To be fair,
I don't,
That is
me
true.
you know what I mean?
personally, yeah,
Because
but
you're not old, you're not young anymore. They only do that to the young people. Once you get to
that's
our
true.
age, nobody cares. You fall under the radar for a lot of things. Nobody notices you for anything because you're old. You know what I mean?
Old
Unless you're
guys,
It's
old
yo.
true.
unless you're old with a large record, then they will
Well,
keep
yeah, then
noticing
they'll,
you.
they'll keep, yeah. But if you've been under the radar and you've never been in trouble, not police won't knock your door. They're not pacing up and down the streets looking for black people to assault. You know what I mean? It's the people who are in those circles. Me personally, I've had the dealings with the law, but not serious that they're at my door every 2 minutes, or I'm having to go down the police station calling the police every 2 minutes for help. It's, if you know what I mean. So those people who are involved in the law and getting stopped and searched and this and that, somewhere or somehow you have been involved in the law, that you've made yourself known. Because other than that, you don't just get harassed. Well, probably you did. Probably some people do, but in my lifetime, I can't say I've ever been harassed by a police
You
officer.
then come from that sort of background, though.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why I
Mm.
probably can't empathize with what's being said, because I never lived that life.
Mhm.
I've always just gone about my merry way, just like my dad says, had it quite easy.
Mhm.
All right, so, and for the oppression, yeah, England is oppressed, but if you're willing to work hard in England, really and truly, you can achieve a lot and get to the top. You really can. I believe that as a black person, if you work hard, because you can't keep pushing people who are good to the back because they're missing opportunities. Just like back in the day when I used to watch the Olympics and think, why haven't we got black people running in? Oh, well, then you had Linford Christie, but he wasn't really. He was 100 meters. Was he 100 meters or 200? But
Something
anyway,
like that.
Both.
he was the only one. And you had the one token black man running for England, and I thought, you've got loads of black people, just and we're from Jamaica, they're winning left, right, and centre, and America, but yet England would send all British runners, and you think, well, you're not going to have a chance. You're not using what you've got there, and one day, hopefully now, England's waking up and realising that we've got some good talents. Yes, they're not um, obviously white, but yeah, why stop using them just because they aren't? You know what I mean? It's stupid. You're sort of hindering yourself not to use all the resources that are available. So if the institutionalized big companies and then don't want to employ blacks or Asians or whatever, then you're possibly losing out on some really good employees. But that's you know what I mean? Your downfall. At the end of the day, just because you're gonna stay consciously biased, then you're gonna lose out.
Yeah.
So you know,
I think also the thing with black people, they never really have the chance to find out the possibilities though, innit? A lot of them just sit at home and they're like,
I
there's
don't
no hope
think
for me.
no, not
There's
now,
no hope
not
for me.
now. Hopefully,
And I hope
because
not.
our
I hope
Not
not.
only
generation
that, I'd like to
will
share
push
something
push more.
actually. Like
Go on.
literally, I did a different job last week. Well, Saturday just gone, and I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed in our race. Like, in particular, the men, because where I was working, it was in hospitality, and it required heavy lifting, moving around a lot, being on your feet, being bubbly, and the attitude from the individuals there, disgusting. I was so hurt. I was genuinely hurt, and I feel like for me it was the shell shock because I was the eldest there in my job role. Everyone was shocked how old I was compared to them. They were still quite young, but it's the fact that you're in a job. Clearly, you've picked up your two legs, your 2 feet to walk to the interview for this job, and then you come into the job once you got the job, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not doing this. I'm not taking orders. I'm not serving food. I'm not serving drinks, and I'm gonna stand there in the hallway and wait for someone else to do it." And
That's
I'm
what I'm
thinking to
thinking.
myself, I don't
How?
like that.
It's
It's
a
like
yeah.
it's crazy.
And
I was really hurt by it, genuinely, because I'm thinking to myself, it was predominantly my race working there, and we was in a good environment. We had food on tap, we was looked after. We could go back of the bar and get ourselves a soft drink. And I'm thinking, when I did this job like 9 years ago now, we never got treated. We never got a look in like that, and we was treated as equals. We was well respected, and that was their attitude. I was sickened by it. I'm not gonna lie.
mm,
And now
but
you understand why people don't defend their race.
it's entitlement, and it no, that's I don't think
That's
that's
the time. That's British. That's the British
is that
mentality. If you raise the
race.
Britain,
But again, is that race or is it environment?
if you raise
Because
the
if
It's
Britain,
you've
you're
both.
never
gonna be like
had
that.
It's both
a
because
black
remember,
positive role, seen growing
yeah.
up, working hard, and showing them this is how you do it, how are you gonna know when it's your turn how to do it? You know,
You know what I
nobody's
realized
gonna,
though.
nobody cares in the schools. So when you get out, you know what I mean? They don't care.
You know what I
Your
realized
brethren
though.
probably gets you the job.
You don't. Yeah, you don't have to be raised in a rich house to become
Just
walk
have
around with a sense of
morals, any?
arrogance and
Yeah,
entitlement. You don't have to.
yeah.
You don't
No.
have to have a rich upbringing. You can walk around thinking that you're God's gift to the human race
Mm,
without actually having achieved anything. And that's the mentality a lot of the youth people have. We're at the age now where we say, see young people. But even
yeah.
our generation are the same. We started actually, our generation's kids now, technically, will be the ones who are now 16, 17, 18 if we would have started at 20. So these
Mm,
kids are now our kids, and we
yeah.
have created the worst race. Our generation is creating the worst kids. It's getting worse. It's like, wow, okay, there may not be, I'm pretty sure there's going to be more about saving the environment and stuff, and revolution. But to be fair, we ain't got no ethics, no manners. We just walk around like
I'm
lawless.
entitled to everything.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
should like
Yeah.
everything's something given
It's
to me. I
true.
should be driving a Ferrari, and not working and having a paid job without doing anything. You know,
Yeah, because when they're looking at their all right then, going back to environment again. When they're in their environment in the ghetto or wherever they're at, and they're seeing their positive role models as being the local drug dealer or the man's up road who are not working but they're driving the fat cars and they've got sick clothes and this and that. That's how they think they should be because they're not seeing people hard working behind the scenes. They're just seeing the the rewards. So when they have to do a 9 to 5 job or a little seasonal job, they're like, "Yo, this is not what I'm seeing. I ain't seeing this. I'm seeing man sitting in cars with the seat tipped back, waiting for the phone to
yeah,
ring,
No,
yeah,
you've also got to
not
look at the
serving
fact that
food."
you've also got to look at the fact that generations before they were sort of encouraged to work hard to get what they want. Now the generation of today, they're being told that as long as you look good, you'll get what you want. There's the difference. Because I
that's
never
it.
we've always known that if you're nice looking in this world, you'll get somewhere. But
Yeah, you
it's
will.
been encouraged a lot. No, people have always known that from day dot. People have always known that looks get you somewhere. But it wasn't played upon so much a couple of generations ago. But now they're encouraged. As long as you look good, think about it. As long as you look good and you got a lot of likes, that's all you need to get somewhere in life
Yeah,
now. That's
Mm,
that's what they're being told, not necessarily by parents. Parents don't discourage it though. They do encourage it. It's obviously because of the media, the social media and all that. That's where it's coming from. But the parents don't help by trying to discourage that. That's not necessarily the way to go. Because if you listen to the young girls today, They all want to be a footballer's wife, or they want to be a rapper's woman, or side piece, or that you don't never hear
Useless.
them say, "I want to be a doctor's wife," or "I want to be a teacher's wife," or something, or just someone
Again,
who's a manager of a grocery store's
but
wife. They always want to be somebody who's in the celeb world. Where the
Or a
hell does
farmer.
that come from?
yeah, Medea, again, surroundings and your environment. If you're not rubbing shoulders in the world of the doctors and this and that, you're not
Yeah,
going to
but you're
think,
not
oh, I'm going to
rubbing
have
the
one of those
think
as a
about it.
husband.
You're
Are
not
you?
rubbing you're not rubbing shoulders with the celebs either, but yet they think they're gonna get one.
But they
How
follow the
did that come
celebs.
into their mentality?
They follow celebs. They don't follow doctors.
That's the problem.
Their
That's the
environment
problem.
again.
Who should be encouraging them to follow the doctors instead though? Think about it. Shouldn't the
Their
parents
parents. You
or
should be
their
talking to your
peers
kids.
say follow doctors instead? Stop following rappers and footballers. You stand more of a chance of getting a doctor than getting a footballer.
If you're a nurse, I suppose, yeah. Which most
No,
of
no, no.
black people
You
are.
can doctors. Yes, they say that if you're a nurse, but it doesn't necessarily mean that way. You could be in a good job, and you could follow someone that is a doctor. They see you, they like you, and they start talking and interacting that way. Since
But
that's the way people hook up these days, you could be
usually,
going shopping somewhere where a doctor goes shopping, and you meet them that way. But what's
but
the odds of going shopping and meeting a celeb? Slim
I,
to none.
I think
But they
it's.
think they're going to get one though.
Mm, no, me personally, I think as a doctor, you're going to be obviously in your medical profession environment. You're seeing nurses, yeah, but I don't think they ever end up with the nurses because they're looking for somebody on the same money as them.
Not necessarily, Not necessarily
That's
because doctors don't think like celebs.
most doctors I know. I know a few doctors, and they're married to
Mm,
doctors every time
mm,
because they got
yeah.
the same P. Why are you gonna? You're on 100 odd grand. You're picking up somebody's on 20 odd.
So why?
Who's gonna be picking up
All
the
right
bill?
then.
Who's picking up the bill?
Why would the celeb pick up somebody who's got no job at all?
Because they've got
Just looks
enough
good.
money. They've got
Just look
enough
good. Just
money.
look good.
Yeah, but they can build their brand because they look good, and they'll contribute to that brand what that person's already got. So he's
Then
bringing
there's the
something to the
problem.
table. Well, it
There's
is,
the
but this
problem.
is the world we live in, Medea. Unfortunately,
Mm.
these days we have to evolve because the world is changing. I was speaking the other day to my partner, and he was talking about people actually being grateful for being a side chick now. And it's like
Good luck
having
to them.
status. That's status. Back in the
Good luck.
day, 20 years ago, you couldn't come with that crap. I'm not coming as your mistress. I want to be your main or nobody. But now, just to be told that you're the side chick, you're onto a winner. They're happy with that. If you get girlfriend status, you're practically married.
Is the side chick
Yeah.
like? Is that like the best place to be anyway? Is the side chick? You got all the benefits and none of the stress. It's the best
No,
place.
who wants to be that? You know what I
And
mean?
that, you're old school though. But the new
That's what I
school.
mean. But the new school, they're happy with that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, this is just like the generation before us, everybody was married by the time they were 20. And if you weren't, by the time you were 30, you were a spinster. The world changes. It's so fast. Every 10 to 20 years, this world is unrecognizable. And
Yeah.
us as individuals have to embrace that and just keep rolling with it because people 20 years ago, yes, you were defending your race and getting battered and fighting every minute. Now you can defend your race and get people sacked. You get me? So the world's moved on. So in the next 10 to 20 years, the conversation we're having now will be a totally different conversation, which we probably didn't think we would be having.
Yeah.
You know what
I
I
know
mean?
what mine will be. I don't care.
Yeah.
There
I
you
won't
go.
even remember.
Anyway.
It'll be, Dad, take this tablet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway,
I won't care.
okay, guys, I want to quickly do this one because this is the funny one. Okay, well, as we're on the topic of black people, did your parents allow you to say what when they called your name? I love this because
no, and no
yeah,
again.
but I want to know,
No.
Medea, what's the issue? What?
The issue is
Yo,
Let me
saying
know.
what is it's
It's not a
so
swear word.
mannered.
it isn't, is it?
When you call someone, if you call your child, John, what? Listen how he said, Then what did you say? Oh, yes, mum. Which one sounds nicer?
Look at
It's just it's a manners. It's a manners thing.
I think it is. It's just out of respect, in it. Yeah.
You know,
look at
that's and to be honest, it's mainly in people of colours race there where we don't say what.
yeah.
That is definitely a European thing. What, especially in the English, that is. I grew up hearing that when their mums and dads would call them what. It's so
With the
rude.
frustration, as he's what you
It's
calling
so
me again for?
rude.
Yeah,
What do
look
you
at
have the right to call me? Who said?
you
That's
know,
it. What?
Do you pay my bills?
look, this woman's like, as a white mom, I'm genuinely perplexed by this. I hadn't been aware. On this question, what is the proper response? I love my mind. No, I lose my mind when my kids don't respond. Hearing what would be a huge improvement. You know, look at this. What my mum at next question? You look
See,
God.
you see that again. Let me go back to what I was saying. 20 years ago, they used to say what? Now they don't say nothing at all. Totally different conversation.
Look at this. This is funny. I tried it. I was to say what? The silence that met my what was some of the most terrifying space I've ever been in. Never forget. Yeah, look at this. I
Classic.
remember I said
But it's
what to
true.
my mum. Look at this. I remember I said what to my mum one time because she was downstairs and I was annoyed. My dad came from my room like this. Look at this.
But it's true.
Punched him out. Yeah.
Classic. You got it now, but you really do. When your kid turns out and says what, you have to look at them as if to say, yo, you've either lived too long or you've lost your mind.
Yeah,
And you know what?
it's just a
You
total
saying that,
ill-mannered way of responding to someone.
watch a lot of memes with African parents, and they seem even stricter,
Yeah.
really strict, really, really strict. So there again, about them being the most submissive race, they actually
No, I
have
mean,
got.
no. They are submissive to their white counterparts. They are. That is, if you see it in everyday life, you do. I mean, when I'm at uni, and I'm telling you now, this is something I know from experience. When when the lecturer was talking in the class to a black person, he would talk on a level like, "Oh, you're not that important." But when he was responding to someone of a Caucasian, it speaks to them as if they were royalty. I experienced that. I had to, when they asked for feedback, I exactly told him. I said, you need to treat everyone equally. You were showing favoritism in the classroom. And
Oh,
yes, and he welcomed it. He appreciated me
but you
being
got to
honest.
eat for that.
You know, okay, I
Can I
don't.
read another, can you read another comment? Look, I went to a white household for dinner and the daughter said, shut the F up, mom. You don't know what you're talking about. When the mom tried to respond to a question I asked, the black people at the table just looked at each other in shock.
Yeah, you
The
do.
daughter lived.
Yeah, I remember having that experience myself. I was
Same
like,
here.
"You're crazy." I had to sit down and
Yeah,
say,
I
Yeah,
remember that
you
too.
you
"You
what?
are crazy. Come to my house." And if you
Yeah,
slouch
Right.
differently, you're getting slapped inside
yeah.
out.
You get me? It's true.
Well,
But
what?
I think every person of colour who's got a Caucasian friend has witnessed this. We know it's true.
We have witnessed
You know
it
what
and
I mean? And
seen
you're
it.
like, it is eye watering sometimes. You're like, Jesus, peace. Do you even like your parents?
I remember
No.
actually.
You paying the rent. You paying the mortgage up in here. Are these your
Mhm.
lodgers? Why don't you tell them to get out? You know what I mean?
That being said, though, I remember one time I had one good friend in secondary school, and the way she cussed out her mum for her mum not having change. Her mum gave her £50 note, yeah, and she
Mm.
cussed her mum. I can't go to the shop with that. What the f, mum, man? I got all this change. I was like, £50. We've been looking to get 25p. Let alone £50 note. She just went off on me. I was like, I'm so baffled right now. Why are you
Yeah,
cussing
it's
your
true.
mum out?
It's true.
She's like, you don't have to spend it all, love. And she just went in.
Oh no, that's what I mean. No, that's how it goes, isn't it? Freedom of speech. So guess where that's where we get
Yeah.
it from?
So
Right.
woman's like, I honestly don't recommend black parenting, at least not the kind I've had. It's rather abusive. Yeah.
Easy. You know what? It is if you're a rude kid. Really?
Why you just
If you
said
don't
it?
learn from the first leak, then you know you're an idiot. You feel that pain, you know not what to do. So obviously you're hard of hearing or you're just dumb.
Do you remember
That's the
this
only thing
scene
I can
from?
explain by a black person. You're dumb.
Do you remember this scene from Thingy from Everybody Hates Chris?
Yes.
Oh
Right
yeah.
there.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Man's
Laughing.
paralyzed.
Yeah.
Mate.
anyway,
Oh
anyway,
man.
anyway, that's funny. Let's call it a time on the podcast because we've been on for a bit longer anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to see. Let's go around the table. Let's go around the table. Anyone got any nice things to say? Pudding could start because Pudding hasn't really said anything that much. So
Wow.
Pudding.
The reason why I didn't say anything all that much is because I was dying in the bathroom. I put pepper in my eyes.
Really?
Oh no.
I didn't realise the pepper
What a
was on
joke.
my fingertips while I was cooking.
Wash
them
your
up.
hands.
No, I was literally like, you know, Terry Crews in White Chicks when he gets pepper sprayed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Literally like that. I was like, oh. I was like that. Well, I'm all good now. All good people. I'm alive and kicking. It's good.
Good.
Okay.
Chokers.
Welcome back, Medea. Thought we'd like to keep it
Hello,
good.
hello.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope people have missed me. I will be in and out as I become a young mother again. So
A young
I
mother,
haven't
yeah.
sent the
A young
ones,
mother. I
but
don't know where she getting the young from.
I'll be a young mother.
A joker.
All right. And Travesty.
Unlike Medea, who's a big,
Oh gosh.
That is
Everybo-
derogatory on the podcast. I would like an apology. Thank
It's all
you.
light-hearted. All light-hearted.
there she is again, begging for apologies. I was
I
glad to
don't
see
want
you
any
back,
food.
Medea. It's
What's that?
I said I don't want any food.
And now she's all
yeah, the
quiet.
podcast just went dead.
Yeah.
I think you said it all by Medea with her return. She's obviously
Yeah.
overcast me this week. I'm not having it. Leanne, all's forgiven. Come back.
Oh, no. Leanne's past forever. Jesus Christ. All right, guys. Let's catch up next week, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
See you
thank
next
you.
week.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Good
Bye,
night.
bye, bye.
Forever, if that's what we intend. Let's not rush into things, so love will continue forever, is what we both want. Many have tried and failed, cause they wouldn't wait. That won't happen to us. We will be fine.